Warning, this may contain content not suitable for children. And snowflakes, you have been warned. No, you stop it.
Do you have any last words? Go on, do your duty.
Okay, you stop it. Because Dan and Dave and the Game of Thrones show treated Stannis Baratheon like a fool. So, for you who have read A Song of Ice and Fire, let's discuss the real Stannis Baratheon. Is he a savior? Is he going to be a failure? Me personally, I think he's going to be the best king Westeros has ever seen. So let's check him out now on this new show I like to call Winds of Winter. What the hell do you think is going to happen? Come on, let's check it out. If you like talking sci-fi and fantasy, please subscribe. Don't make me beg. Welcome to Sporky News Podcast. My name is Scott. You know, if you have a chance, please like, share, subscribe. It'll really help out the channel. To everybody who's helped me get over the 500 hump and almost close to 600 subscribers, I really do appreciate it. You guys don't know how much. I read all your comments, even the bad ones, and I try to respond best I can. So thank you. And if we can get this over 1,000, that'd be awesome. So please subscribe if you like what you hear. So I'm starting a new set of videos. It's predictions on Winds of Winter, the 6th book in A Song of Ice and Fire, 7 book, most likely, pray to God, series from George R.R. Martin, which has changed my life. I love it. Got me back into reading. Really never was into reading except for like things like this. But when my wife bought me the first book, engrossed. It was, I'll never forget, it was a Christmas 2009, I want to say. And I sat there, we were watching her parents' house. I sat there on a couch in front of a wood burning stove with the glass front and just read that book. And I was in that world, and how it ended changed everything for me for what a high fantasy or fantasy book should be. And we deserve that. So, you know, I'm hitting on Dan and Dave a little bit, but they did give us a great 2-3 seasons before it went to crap. And that's because George didn't give us, he thought he'd be done with these books by now. And it's been about 8, almost 9 years, maybe even longer, 2011. So we're really waiting on Winds of Winter. So why am I doing a prediction one when people have had 8 or 9 years to predict what's going on? It's because I enjoy it. Okay. And there are some great channels out there. I'm a small channel. You probably know the bigger ones, but Lucifer Means Lightbringer. Amazing. Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire, I want to say is the website. Awesome. Huge guy now. He blew up. Chris, Smokescreen. Val from, oh God, I screw up her name. In Deep Geek. I love her though. Okay. And then you have the great Joe Magician, who, if you have not watched one of his videos, he dives deep. Love him. And there's many more that I watch, just like Aziz over at Histories of Westeros. It was probably one of the first channels I ever saw. So to them, sorry if it sounds like I'm ripping off your stuff, because most of my hypotheses come from watching your videos and piecing together what I believe. So I wanted to start with Stannis Baratheon up in the north, the Battle of the Ice, and that's what we call it. It's Stannis Baratheon versus the Boltons. Now, the Boltons hold Winterfell right now. Stannis is outside of Winterfell, a few miles away at a small fishing village, and it's on a lake. There's little islands. There's a tower that he's just been in. No bed, just a chair, doing his thing. And we learned that from Theon 1, from a Winds of Winter excerpt that George read or actually put out. Kind of blanking on that right now, but that's not the point. The point is, I personally think he is Stannis Baratheon, one of the most underrated characters of this series. He's got a bad rap with a lot of the fandom because of how he seems to treat other people, but I've always thought of him as, the opposite side of the coin as Ned Stark. Ned Stark is very honorable. He's loved by his people. They say a young girl could walk in her name day suit, which is naked, up the King's Road when a Stark was in Winterfell. And Ned Stark was one of the most honorable men. I mean, taking a secret of his nephew or son to the, to his death. Almost, putting a wedge between him and his wife, Catelyn Stark, never being able to tell anyone the secret he had because he made a vow. And that's what we learned from the show, but the books have hinted at it in fever dreams and flashbacks and things of that nature. So Stannis Baratheon is the younger brother of Robert Baratheon, who was the king who overthrew the Targaryen dynasty. And he is the older brother of Renly, who just was flamboyant and wanted to be king. Now, Stannis is all about duty and honor, mostly duty though. And when Robert died and he found out that his children were all of incest, what he calls abominations, he felt it was his duty to his country, to the higher powers, whatever that is, that he becomes king. And when he gets involved with the Red Priestess and R'hllor, he thinks it's his duty to save the world because, Melisandre is telling him he is the prince that is promised. He is Azor Ahai. Now, Stannis was given Dragonstone after the war. Stannis held Storm's End for, over a year, eating their horses, eating rats, eating leather until the Onion Knight, Sir Davos, came in, smuggled in onions and other products, but always remembered for onions. That's why he took it for his sigil to say you to the other snotty bastards. But he held that. And his brother never honored him for that in what he thinks. So as the younger brother, he should have gotten Storm's End. But because when Stannis went to hunt down Dany and her brother and their mother, they were already left Dragonstone. They were gone. So he gave him Dragonstone. Now, Dragonstone is the Targaryen idea of Wales, I would say. Like the Prince of Wales is the second usually in line to the throne. So the Prince of Dragonstone, which he wasn't called Lord of Dragonstone, but whoever held Dragonstone was pretty much said, you are the next in line until another heir of my own lineage comes out. And when we find out those kids aren't his, well, I'll tell you this, Stannis beelines out of there. He gets out of there right away because he knows shit's about to go down and we know what happened to Ned. So Stannis, starts gathering his troops, calling his banners after his brother's death, after the death of Ned Stark, and he is going to take over the throne. Now, people think we have the luxury of being the outside observer. We are the reader. We get more information than the people in the world. The people in the world see Stannis as trying to usurp his own nephew's crown. We all know that's BS. Okay. He is a whoop whoop child of Cersei and her brother, Mr. Cheesematic, the Prince Charming, Jaime Lannister. Ugh. Even though I do like him now. But anyways, back to Stannis. Stannis' father, Steffon Baratheon, when he was made to go across the narrow sea to Essos to find a bride for the prince at the time, Rhaegar, well, he said that he found a fool that was amazing, and he hopes that it will teach Stannis how to smile. So even from a young age, we knew Stannis, he was always this guy, very straight, very to the point. And he also did see something traumatic. His parents' ship in the bay outside of Storm's End, Shipwrecker Bay, I say. I should have notes. It sinks, and his mother and father both die. And the only person to make it was found days later, and that's Patchface the Fool, and he was never the same. We might get into him on another one. So speeding this up, we go through the whole thing with Renly, the Shadow Babies, the attack on King's Landing, losing that, retreating, going to the Wall, uh, saving the wall, taking on advice from Jon, which I think is huge, learning about the hill, the people in the mountains of the north, that they are kind of like petty kings, and how to get their backing by, telling them their daughters are beautiful and their sons are strong, and eating their food and listening to their stories. And that's something he does because he is a Southerner. Okay. Even though Bolton, everyone knows he had something to do with the Red Wedding. Um, no one wants to side with Stannis, A, because they don't like him pretty much, and B, he's a Southerner. Okay. So he has to win people over. And after he goes to these different tribes, Jon does give him a great piece of advice. You're going to have to win some battles. So what does he do? He liberates Deepwood Mott, and that is the house of House Glover, and he gets their backing. But Bolton has most of the backing. Granted, very loose backing. I mean, we have the Manderleys, which is another topic altogether, who I love. Hate them, hate the phrase, but are going along with it. Everyone thinks he's weak. I think he might be one of the strongest characters in the story. You also have Lady Barbary Dustin of Riswell, who is the Lady of Barrowtown and could have a claim to the north. So Roose is dealing with all this fractured alliances within his own walls. So Stannis has Moore's Umber, and he has all the green boys. But inside, Crowfoot Umber, who has a obsidian eye with a patch over it, which I think is pretty dope. He's inside with all the men who, if winter came out and said they were going hunting, never came back. Wouldn't have been found until the spring. So where is the rest of the Umbers? Did they all really die with Robb down south at the phrase at the Red Wedding? Or is there something else? We know that the Umbers and the Manderleys were building ships on, the orders of Robb. We haven't seen any of that. So Roose is a very smart man. Roose Bolton, the right now the regent and Lord Protector of the North, who is trying to set himself up as the king of the North, is kind of in holding game with Stannis Baratheon. Now, Stannis is outside of the castle. You would think inside the castle, you sit there. It's winter. There's it's snowing all the time. People are freezing to death. Let them freeze to death. Let them run out of food. But Stannis has something going on, and he doesn't let on. We haven't seen it from his point of view, but we find out from some of the chapters from Dance with Dragons and this Theon chapter that he must have people inside. Is it the Umbers? We don't know. Is it Mance Rayder? We don't know. But we do know that Crowfoot Umber is probably the one, and I don't know for a fact, I haven't read it in a little bit. He's the one trying to keep people up at night, making crazy sounds, probably killing off Freys, just to get animosity and hatred going on inside Winterfell, so that Roose knows if he doesn't attack Stannis, he's going to lose everything within anyways. So Roose sends the Freys, and then he sends the Manderleys, and then he sends his bastard, who he legitimized, Ramsay, after them. Now, what we learn from Stannis in his Theon chapter is, one, he knows messages have been leaving his camp and going there. He questioned the Dreadfort's maester. The guy pissed himself, So he knows that dude wasn't lying. He was caught. So what he did was he asked him, where were these going? And the guy's trying to say he wouldn't say, but he knows. And he finally said they're going to, I want to say Winterfell and, Deepwood, not Deepwood, I'm sorry. Just to Winterfell, where Roose is getting information within the camp. See, Stannis sees all these angles. People think so like black and white, but he's willing to learn and change his ways of attack depending on who he's fighting. Look what he did with the Ironborn. I think he is the only person to defeat an Ironborn fleet on the water in the story that we have heard. So on the water, the story we know of, A Song of Ice and Fire, is the only one mentioned to beat them on open seas. That's a big deal with a smaller group of ships, smaller armada. He took them out during the Greyjoy Rebellion. This guy is intelligent, and truthfully, he's honest, man. Think about what he's doing. He's trying to save Westeros. Yes, at the beginning of the series, it seemed like he wanted his crown. It was his duty. He had to do it. But, even he says, I'm up north. I fought this battle, but now I have to go south to win these battles so I can go back north to fight the real war. And he tried to legitimize Jon because he knows if he gets a Stark, even a bastard, so-called bastard son of Eddard Stark, and just legitimizes him, then Roose is done. That's why Roose had fake Arya. Well, fake Arya is gone now. And the Manderleys sent Davos on a journey to get Rickon. Now, this is what I'm wondering. We got Stannis at the on one of the islands. The guys have fished these lakes dry. There's holes everywhere. We all know, okay, it's snow covers. The Freys are going to come in, fall through them, massacre, just massacre. But what goes on with the Manderleys? I don't think there has been any word between the two camps prior to what they're going to do when they meet. Do they come right up with a white flag? How close is, Ramsay behind them? Manderley will not forget what the Freys did at the Red Wedding, killing two of his children, two of his sons, I believe. And once his other son was released by Tywin, now Tywin's gone, he now feels emboldened to do what he needs to do. I mean, the man most likely fed human remains of Frey and ate 6 slices himself. That's gangster, y'all. That's gangster. So what do we think is going to happen with Stannis? And I don't know why I just said it like that. Very weird. Kind of get weird when I talk about this stuff because I'm very passionate. We've heard from different, like the guys I've talked about before. Great series right now with LML and Quinn. They are going through all this stuff, probably better than mine, but please watch mine first. What is he going to do? We all think the plan is the fishing holes, but okay, so that happens. He gets the Manderleys. Does he get to Ramsay before Ramsay can get back? Does Roose, keep Ramsay out because he knows everyone hates him? Does he not allow him back in and get slaughtered in front of Winterfell? And then after that slaughter, attack Stannis because Stannis came out, and is now at the walls where, archers can just level his people. It is snowing hard. The embers are digging trenches and people are dying because you can't even see over the wall 2 feet. So this battle is going to be in a blizzard. How does Stannis react to this? Is Stannis, looking into the flames? He doesn't have Melisandre, but they say he's in a tower. There's a chair, there's a table, there's a candles, and that's it. And he sits there. People don't know if he's sleeping. He barely eats. He is all about this next battle. And I do think he is the greatest battle strategic general that Westeros has had, at least in many years. Robert, people fought for because they loved him. Stannis, they fight for him because they believe they have to. It's the difference between those two men. If Stannis loses, he's losing his army. Robert could have took a hit, regrouped. Those people would have stayed with him. All right, so I've been rambling. Let's get back to Stannis up north. Sorry, when it comes to Song of Ice and Fire, I just love talking about it. So we have Stannis up north, and he does have some loyal guys. Now you have the King's Men and the Queen's Men. The King's Men are supposedly loyal to Stannis. The Queen's Men are loyal to R'hllor. They switched over from the Faith of the Seven, most likely, because it is Westeros, or even the Old Gods. I'm guessing it's mostly the Faith of the Seventh. And now they follow R'hllor, who is a fire god. But really what they're saying is, as Queen's Men, they're Melisandre's men. So we do have 2 guys, Richard Horpe and Justin Massey. Those seem to be his number 1, number 2 guy, maybe even like 1A, 1B. Now, the problem with this is Justin Massey is one thing. Richard seems like he actually believes in Stannis, or at least his duty as a vassal of Stannis to stick it out with him no matter what. So Justin Massey, on the other hand, he is more of a upstart hedge knight trying to become a landed lord, trying to work his way up. I think he hitched his ticket to Stannis. and had nowhere else to go. So I would bet you if something opened up, he would definitely move over to the other side. And maybe that's why Stannis is giving him this task to go to the wall, then over to Bravos. But why? I mean, what you're saying is you're giving a guy who loves gambling, loves women, has talked about, losing the day before, made Stannis leave King's Landing before he really wanted to. Now he's telling Stannis to go to Bravos with him. Stannis doesn't trust him. So why give him all that money? I mean, Stannis tells him straight out, you may hear that I am dead. Even if it is true, I want you to buy the 20,000 cell swords, which I don't even think there's that many over there. The Golden Company's already in Westeros, south, in the south of Westeros. And I want you to put Shireen on the Iron Throne. Now, many of us think that has to do maybe with the pink letter, that Stannis knows the content of that it already says that he's dead, that it was sent to Jon Snow to get him off his ass and get him down there to be the Stark he needs. But that's another topic altogether. The question is, what will Justin Massey do once he gets over there, or if he will even make it? I truly believe the Iron Bank and, the followers of R'hllor and the Faceless Men, it's a triangle, and they work together without, most of us seeing it. They do too much stuff together. Things that happen are happening to either change the markets of the world in a way, the economy, or, change certain figures running the show. So we shall see. Okay, so back to the story again, I guess. What happens if Stannis wins this battle? So we got Stannis set up for the Freys to show up, most likely fall through the lakes, massacre. Then we got the Manderleys. Don't know if they've already spoken, to Stannis, because we don't have a first person from one of their point of views. But I'm guessing white flag something, we're with you, and some type of proof. Don't forget they're trying, Davos is still alive. Stannis doesn't know that. He might just attack them the second he sees their banners. But let's say turns around, Manderley's fighting with him. Ramsay, sees what's happening, tries to get back to Winterfell, but the gates are open and Roose sacrifices him because he knows the North can't stand Ramsay Bolton. Ramsay has done horrific crimes, and they're not going to forgive him for that. So sacrifice him may make some people inside happy. So now Stannis is outside the walls. It's snowing hard. Can the archers even see him? Who's to say someone inside that's working with him, I don't know, maybe an Umber, opens up one of the gates, lets him in, ransacks the thing, destroys the Boltons. Okay, so now the North is free. He puts somebody in place of the North for the time being. Does he then go back up, or does he keep going down and fight young Griff? So that's the question. And I would like to know your predictions on this. Yes, I said this was a prediction video. I don't think I have any predictions in it. It was more of a history of Stannis Baratheon and where he's at and where he could go, I guess. Because Stannis, I think we all agree, is not Azor Ahai. His sword, as Master Aemon made sure we knew, the sword had no heat to it. It's just a glamour that Melisandre did on it. Does he truly believe it? I think he does. And if he doesn't believe that he is Azor Ahai, I think he believes he's the only man willing to do what needs to be done to stop the others. Because again, we don't have a Night King. So it's not the freaking show. I'm sorry this ran long, people. Tell me what you would like to see with a Winds of Winter type of series from me. Better predictions, maybe me actually writing things down and not going off the top of my head. If this was your first time, again, please subscribe. I promise I'll get better. And stay tuned, because I am planning on doing some live streams with According to Christy. Christy over there, she is a big fan. And then also Stephen Walton, the author Stephen Walton. He is not. He was a fan of the show, and he would like to be able to ask questions and see what was different. So it would be nice to see a person that is actually just a show watcher try to figure out what the hell is going on in this massive world. Once again, thank you, George R. R. Martin, for giving me a book series that I can't wait to read the next one. And please, God, finish both these books. And you have to put in another one. Do it. We're fine with it. Your writing's amazing. So I hope you all have a great day. And remember, if they're calling your names, they've already lost the war. Have a great day, everybody.
If not Renly or Grace, join forces with Robb Stark.
Who'd steal the northern half of my kingdom. I've always served thieves according to their deserts, as you well know, Sir Davos. Joffrey, Renly, Robb Stark, they're all thieves. They'll bend the knee or I'll destroy them.